Hello. Today I'm going to talk about a film that I first saw when I was young, like 6 years old. Um, it was made by Universal, and it's Halloween time. I know it's not this film, but it's at the moment it's the only Universal monster shirt I have. But and of course this is a debatable whether or not this character is really a monster, but people perceive him as such. So I guess in that kind of way, he sort of counts, but also doesn't. But also, I didn't get this film until this month, so I figured, and it was also after the update video, so I figured I should, talk about it. That is the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I want to talk about Lon Chaney specifically. But first, the off chance you have never seen either this film or any other interpretation of this story, let alone read the book. Um, as it says on the back, this epic adaptation recreated the Paris of 1482, complete with its own Notre Dame. It established Lon Chaney as the monstrously sympathetic superstar. Chaney stars as Quasimodo, the mocked and vilified bell ringer of Notre Dame who selflessly protects the star-crossed street performer Esmeralda, who is in an ill-fated love triangle with her dashing captain um, Fib, yeah, Phoebus. Phoebus. Um, Phoebus is played by Norman Kerry, who's also in another film with Lon Chaney. Patsy Ruth Miller plays Esmeralda. And Chaney created the legendary makeup himself and gave a performance of enormous sensitivity and pathos, launching him into the Hollywood immortality. So look at this face. Lon Chaney himself did that. He is known for outside of excellent acting, and also I want to say this is a silent film. So on the off chance you have never seen this, it's a black and white with color tinting, silent with score, and English intertitles, and this is from Kino Lorber. And this is one of those films that they actually did some nice disc work on, because Kino Lorber doesn't always do that with their movies. Granted, it's just the front cover again, but yeah. And here's another look at Quasimodo. And yeah, the makeup he would often do for characters like this would often hurt him quite a bit. Of course, this is the 1920s, and even back in the 1910s, he would do this. He was very much a character actor, and this is one of the films that really helped establish him as a lead, like a character lead. He's like a character actor, but who also got to uh, be the lead. He was known as the man of a thousand faces, and honestly, yeah, it's phenomenal, and his performance is phenomenal. I have a feeling if the Academy Awards existed back then, um, he probably would have won Best Actor quite a bit for this film, as well as Phantom of the Opera. Yeah. But anyway, my history with this, I saw this when I was like 7. This and Phantom of the Opera were the first two horror films, proper horror films I ever saw from beginning to end. And I'm going to also say something right now. Part of the reason why I saw it is because uh, I'm actually cousins with Lon Chaney and Lon Chaney Jr. On my mother's side, my mom's mom, my grandma, her mother, my great grandmother, her aunt married one of Lon Chaney's brothers. I can't recall which one now. Um, so I don't know if I try to look it up, but I've tried to look it up before because or well, my great grandmother's obituary, because my grandmother said, like, it was listed her name and the relation to Lon Chaney and Lon Chaney Jr. in her obituary, but I haven't found that online. And I do remember my great grandmother because I was like 4 or 5 when she passed away, and so I remember her a bit, not a whole lot, but yeah, and she really loved movies a lot, and yeah, and I remember in school I mentioned this. Well, it was when The Sandlot was playing and the Wolfman was on the screen. You saw Lon Chaney Jr. And I said, "Oh, that's my cousin," or whatever. And people didn't believe me, even though I tried to go and explain as much as I was like in 6th grade, as much as an 11, 12-year old could, the best they could, best one could. But also, I kind of figured, if I'm trying to impress people and be really cool, say I have a famous, you know, cousin, I'd probably say something like Brad Pitt or something. But yeah, not some actor that literally none of them really knew about. At most, they probably knew of the Wolfman. Whether they've watched that movie or not, that's another question. But people typically know who the Wolfman is, as well as the Phantom of the Opera, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is of course a classic story, written by Victor Hugo, the writer of Les Miserables. Les Miserables. But, and I don't know if I ever really said that before about my familial linkage to Lon Chaney Jr. Um, but regardless, I mean, this is a very classic tale or the story. If you've never seen this version, it's it's well known. You know, also people of my age probably remember watching the Disney film with Tom Hulce as Quasimodo, singing. But this film, it's very good. I know not everybody likes silent films, so I could see to a good extent this would be not of major interest to people, but I like it. I love it. In fact, um, and yeah, audio commentary from film critic Farron Smith. Namey, a booklet essay by Michael F. Blake. Life in Hollywood Newsreel, 16 millimeter home movie footage of Lon Chaney from the film and video collection at the UC Berkeley Art Museum and Pacific Film Archive. Music by Nora Kroll Rosenbaum and Laura Karpman. So I guess that's those are the two who composed the music. Because what they often do with these silent films, there was often music written. Many times for silent films, there was like an organ, so somebody would play music throughout the film, and so probably in so many ways they probably wanted to have like an orchestra, but of course since there was no real sound or soundtrack, they had to obviously write it to like organ and piano and stuff. But if one is very talented, they could probably create a score of the notes. And so yeah, which many films you can kind of silent films you get to see that or hear that rather. official program book slideshow, production still slideshow, and publicity materials in correspondence slideshow. So I also want to show. There we go. This booklet proper. And there's another picture of Lon Chaney. And there he is again, and his performance in that makeup. You know, he's a phenomenal actor. He was truly phenomenal. And there's Esmeralda. And of course, there's all these little posters here and there. Yeah, and this. And of course, the casting credits. Or casting crew, rather. Directed by Wallace Worsley. Yeah, I've never. Outside of this, I can't say I've ever seen a film he's directed. Produced by Carl Laemmle, who often produced these films at the time. And yeah. Based on a novel by Victor Hugo. And that's the back. But yeah, this is a very good film. And it's also on YouTube because this film is in the public domain. Unfortunately, Universal themselves don't really have any official release to this, or some of their other films that are in public domain around this time. Perhaps because it's in the public domain, they just don't bother. Because that means anybody can really put this on. Back in the day, VHS and then DVD and Blu-ray. But the Kano Lorber version is excellent. And this is what I've wanted for a long time. So if you look on YouTube, you can find this film and you can watch it for yourself. So if you're interested if this sounds like an interesting film to you, before you buy this, you can definitely watch it on YouTube, and it's completely no need to buy it or anything, because again, it's free. But again, you gotta just again be warned that some might not be of the best quality, just depending on when the film was uploaded. This release came out in 2021. It's 102 now. I wanted to get this 2 years ago, but there's other stuff coming out around the time, and so I never got around to doing the true 100th anniversary. So here's the belated 100th anniversary of video of this. Very belated. 2 years too late, I guess you could say, though people do say better late than never. But yeah, 102 years old. And it's still around in the sense of people talking about it. And people like it. And it's excellent, especially for Lon Chaney. He's phenomenal. But he was always phenomenal. And he died of lung cancer. And maybe in the next video I will talk about on Halloween Day. I'm thinking about putting this up on Halloween Eve or whatever, or trick or treat night, whatever. And but I could perhaps do it on Monday or a Wednesday, not Monday. But yeah, many do. There's various people who consider this like one of the very first Universal uh, monster, the first Universal monster. But there are people who don't, so it's sort of like a mixed. Some people say it is, some people say it isn't. I can definitely see why people would say it is. Like people consider him to be, uh, a monster, even though he really isn't. It's just he's perceived as such, and so maybe just to an extent that's what matters. But yeah. Anyway, that's my whole talk about uh, the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Hope this was interesting. If it was not, I apologize, but hopefully it was worth something. And yeah, I don't know if I'll put a link in the description or pinned comment, but yeah, like I try to find a good version of it, but still, it could be a little difficult. But since I actually have this version now, that's what I'm gonna watch. I won't watch it on YouTube now, but very good movie. So yeah, you do have to read the intertitles, otherwise, you're gonna just be watching the visuals, which some of the stuff that you see and everything with the recreation of the Notre Dame, it's very good. And granted, yeah, the performances are very exaggerated, but again, silent era, you kind of have to expect that because, well, no sound, so they had to really emote their emotions, not just vocally to the performers in the scene, but also for the camera. So their expressions also have to tell you so much, while being intercut with titles of what each and every person is saying. So hopefully this was worth something. Maybe you learned something, whether it was something of real note or worth. I don't know. But yeah, very good film. The fact that there are people who are able to take the notes, and I'm not necessarily saying that's what happened here, but people are able to find. They're able to find, some of the old sheet music, and just from there try to figure out what instruments would work at certain times for the film. Um, but yeah, and also another thing with all the various releases of films like this, in addition to the picture quality, the music sometimes wouldn't always match. Because, even if they had the sheet music, it's like, we can do organ music, but maybe at certain parts, it'd be good to have some orchestral music. But sometimes that kind of music, even with the instruments, like these instruments could work. It's just the music being played, it just doesn't fit the scene. And you can probably find some of that on YouTube with some of those releases. But the Kano Lorber version, if you watch it on YouTube and you want to own the film, I would recommend you check out their website and get it, because it's a phenomenal film. And because it's in the public domain, they could probably have this forever. So it's one of those movies that I don't think you'll have to worry about ever really going out of stock for them. Um, I wouldn't imagine, but I guess you never know. But anyway, yeah, I think that's a good enough video. Being that it's Halloween time, I hope all of you are having a good Halloween season if you celebrate it, and if not, that's fine. I hope all of you are having a great week. Hope you're having a good day. Sorry for my throat. I don't know why. It's just decided now to sort of dry up. But I hope all of you are good, and please have a great rest of your week and a great day. Please take care.